Joining us now is Axiom Strategies Republican strategist Erin Maguire and former White House Press Office Chief of Staff Yemisi Egbewole. She's also a former Biden White House advisor. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
So we're starting on a tough topic, but are these Chicago and Illinois leaders out of touch on this one, Yemisi?
Yeah, I think that the governor's office, J.B. Pritzker, did a great job with his statement, calling it senseless outright and hoping that the accused goes to jail. I do think the tone, however, shifts when he brings it up in the political context. I think you can address the grievances of the family without trying to appease the wider base that is worried about all immigrants being painted in a certain light. I think this should have just stayed directly on the grieving family and the tragic murder that happened. And look, I think the mayor of Chicago, he has done a pretty terrible job of trying to address this in a way that is sympathetic to this family. So I do think there has to be a bit of a balance here.
What is your assessment of it, Erin?
I think Yemisi is really right there about Democrats not being able to remove the politics from really the grief and the tragedy of what happened here, because they're not able to. They're not able to remove the lens that says that the policies they pursue and continue to advocate for had a direct and deadly outcome for this young woman, Sheridan Gorman. Chicago is a sanctuary city. Illinois is a sanctuary state where they protect criminal illegal immigrants over young women like Sheridan, over the American people who have every lawful right to be able to walk down by the water, but they won't. So Democrats can't keep the politics out of the moment where it should just be about the family, because the politics is what keeps their base engaged. It keeps them enthused heading into midterms, and it gives them something to hit Donald Trump on. Ultimately, that's all they care about. Clearly not the family nor their citizens and keeping them safe.
All right. Speaking of the midterms, I want to show our audience a headline from the Wall Street Journal opinion section from our friend and colleague Karl Rove. The headline is Republicans' biggest asset, Democrats. Even with the GOP's numbers underwater, the other parties are somehow worse. I also want to play a clip from Texas Senator Ted Cruz, and I'll get you guys to weigh in on the upcoming midterms.
If the Democrats take the House, no meaningful legislation will pass for the next 2 years. And we will see the president impeached over and over and over again. I think these radical Democrats would leave cabinet offices empty, leave them vacant, rather than confirm President Trump's nominees. I think Chuck Schumer and the radicals are so extreme that if they get a majority, they will do whatever they can to burn it down.
Yemisi, your thoughts?
Well, Senator Ted Cruz, I don't know what Congress he's talking about, but I already see an ineffective Congress that's been handicapped by a president that relies mainly on executive orders and action and doesn't really care if Congress legislates. And if the senator would like to have some active impact in the midterms, he should do so by endorsing either John Cornyn or Ken Paxton in the Texas primaries, because that's going to have a huge impact on whether the Democrats gain any majority in the Senate. And we know that they're going to have a really good chance in the House. So there's a way for him to be effective here.
Erin, what about the stakes of these midterms and some of the points that Senator Cruz was making there about the potential consequences?
I mean, Senator Cruz is right that if Democrats were to win the House, it would absolutely become a banana republic. You would see impeachment inquiry after impeachment inquiry, and you would see no legislation get done that would move forward for the American people. The math is much tougher for them in the Senate to try and get that majority. But if they were, they would immediately nuke the filibuster. They would take away the ability for the minority party to have any say in the Senate whatsoever, and they would pack the Supreme Court. They would make D.C. and Puerto Rico states. The outcomes and realities of the repercussions of Democrats getting power in either the House and the Senate are very real, but enthusiasm is on Democrats' side in their base. They have a more amplified base right now. And when it comes to the party in power, historically speaking, the House is tempted to flip. And with Trump's approval rating sitting in that 40 area, he's got to really start bringing the American people back home to the mission of, making America great again, and being able to do that for the next 2 years to be able to stave off what could be a catastrophic midterms.
March 29th, so we're 7+ months out from the midterms. Yemisi, are the issues baked in, or do we expect a lot of change between now and Election Day?
I do expect a little bit of change, but I really want Democrats to focus on the domestic issues. Look, we've got a war going on in Iran, and I think instead of talking about what's happening in the Middle East, we can talk about how those things are impacting us domestically with gas prices here. If we stick to a message, I know that the base is going to galvanize and come out.
Erin, we're almost out of time. Are the issues baked in, or we expect a lot of change between now and November?
It will really depend on, I think, to Yemisi's point, domestic policy here in the United States. The economy will always be top of mind, safety and security. But where you see immigration or immigration enforcement fall, those could move up and down in terms of popularity with the American people and have a real swing effect on the midterm elections.
Erin, Yemisi, always smart analysis from you two. Thanks very much.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.